The big problem to me with January 6th is the attempt by the left to use January 6th as the tool to silence everybody. January 6th was such a breach of democracy that you must continue to give us unalloyed power. The blowing of it out of all proportion, treating it as though it was the single worst thing to happen in modern American history. But the notion that it was like an insurrection about to overthrow the American government and thus give us unalloyed power is insane. I mean, it was not about to overthrow the American government. At what point was American democracy truly in danger?
Ben Shapiro. I really need to show y'all how absolutely dumb Ben Shapiro really is. And yet he is considered to be the smartest person on the right. I really do feel bad for you, white supremacy, if Ben Shapiro is the best that you can do. He's talking about January 6th. Let's see what this fool said. Ben Shapiro, let's go.
I'll be honest with you. I haven't particularly followed the sort of theorizing about the FBI and its involvement with January 6th because, frankly, it seems like there's pretty good evidence a lot of these people wanted to go in and do something stupid, petty, foolish, and criminal. But the bigger problem with January 6th is, to me, not the quote-unquote FBI involvement. I think we already know that there are problems with the FBI from the entire Mueller investigation. The big problem, to me, with January 6th is the attempt by the left to use January 6th as the tool to silence everybody. Right? If you voted for Trump, you're in favor of January 6th, which means you're dangerous, which means that really we should be taking a second look at you. January 6th was such a breach of democracy that you must continue to give us unalloyed power at the federal level in order to stop things like January 6th from happening ever again.
Ben Shapiro has one job, and that job is to lend a veneer of intellectual credence to the idiocy that is white supremacy. I want you all to be clear. There's something that's happening in this country that we've never seen before, or at least I've never seen. The nihilistic. These people have suspended with their own self-preservation on behalf of their politics. They don't want to wear a mask, and they don't want to wear it's even worse than that. The people that Ben Shapiro is trying to lend intellectual credence to, a veneer of philosophical underpinnings, he's trying to offer them some solace that they're not just complete and absolute effing morons. But Ben, the truth is, you're trying to provide cover for people who not only won't protect their own lives, but they're setting their children up for death.
And the continual focus by the Democrats on January 6th, the blowing of it out of all proportion, treating it as though it was the single worst thing to happen in modern American history, when in reality, if security does its job, January 6th never happens in the way that it happens, right? The big failure there is what the Senate Intelligence Committee said it was, which was a complete failure of all of the apparatuses of law enforcement to stop people from invading the Capitol in the first place. In reality, it was several hundred people who broke into a building. Yes, many of them intend on doing grave harm, and they should go to jail for that. Yeah. But the notion that it was like an insurrection about to overthrow the American government and thus give us unalloyed power is insane. I mean, it was not about to overthrow the American government. The place was cleared within 2 hours. The Congress, led, by the way, by Mike Pence, Trump's vice president, and Mitch McConnell in the Senate, led the certification of the election. So, like, at what point was American democracy truly in danger? That's why when you hear these stories about top generals at the Pentagon saying things like, well, you know, it was the Reichstag fire and this is all Hitler. It's like, read a book. Like, for goodness sake, read a book. Or you're just being dishonest.
These people are so far gone. Ben Shapiro has one job, and that is to lend intellectual credence, a philosophical underpinning to the sociopathy of a people who are willing to sacrifice their lives and the lives of their children for politics. And he's just not that talented. The truth is, you're trying to provide cover for people who not only won't protect their own lives, but they're setting their children up for death. They want their children to go back to school in the middle of a pandemic, Ben Shapiro. They want their children to go to school in the middle of a pandemic without wearing masks. They want their children to go back to school in the middle of a pandemic without wearing masks. And oh, by the way, don't get vaccinated. And as we heard someone say yesterday, it was only 400 children that died.
As a physician, we always want to be able to know and discuss the benefits and risk of anything that we're prescribing, including a vaccine. It's estimated that 40, maybe 50% of children have already had the COVID virus. What are the additional benefits to the vaccine to a child who's already had the virus?
I think it very much depends on what the variant that child might have had, whether they could potentially be infected or reinfected. And, you know, one thing I just want to note with the children is, I think we fall into this flawed thinking of saying that only 400 of these 600,000 deaths from COVID-19 have been in children. Children are not supposed to die. And so 400 is a huge amount for a respiratory season.
Dr. Woodcock, how many children under the age of 18 without a pre-existing condition, a significant health condition, have died from COVID in this country?
I don't have that at my fingertips, I'm sorry.
Dr.
Over 400.
Without health
That
condition?
I don't
So
know.
I think the answer is probably 0. So I think if you take a deep dive, most of the children that have died had some type of underlying health condition.
I didn't know Barry Goldwater personally, but I read his book, Conscience of a Conservative. Ben Shapiro, you know Barry Goldwater. I didn't know William F. Buckley personally, but I watched him try to debate James Baldwin. And as much as James Baldwin put William F. Buckley in his place, Ben Shapiro, you're no William F. Buckley. You're a clown show.